Hi everybody and welcome to the second video in our series for the learning path from TryHackMe, Introduction to Cybersecurity. Again, this will be the learning path that we are going through. In our last video, we kind of went over what this learning path is and talked about the different aspects of it and what it involves, and kind of what this intro level stuff is going to look like. And so today what we're going to be doing, as you can see here, looking down at the Intro to Offensive Security module, which is the one we will be going through today. It is no longer complete for me. I did reset the progress of the room so that we can go through it. But yeah, so today we're going to be going into just some intro stuff about offensive security and kind of how the offensive side of security works. So without further ado, we can hop right into it. So this right here is the first room that we'll be going through, this Intro to Offensive Security. And with this, we can see the description for this room being hack your first website legally in a safe environment and experience an ethical hacker's job. So that's what we're going to get to kind of look at today. We have three sections to this, three different tasks as they call them. The first one being what is offensive security? Again, just kind of an overall view of what offensive security actually is and why it's useful. The second task is going to be hacking your first machine, which is an interactive one. As we can see, the little task includes a deployable machine icon over here on the right-hand side. And finally, careers in cybersecurity, and these will be kind of related to the offensive security side of things and what careers exist within the offensive security side. I'll go ahead and hop into task number one. We'll go ahead and kind of read through this, what it talks about in here. In short, offensive security is the process of breaking into computer systems, exploiting software bugs, and finding loopholes in applications to gain unauthorized access to them. Again, in a nutshell, that's the basic idea of it when you're somebody in the offensive security space, is you're trying to mimic, a hacker's actions. You're trying to get inside the mind of those malicious actors. People are trying to attack, networks, different devices that are connected to the internet, IoT, stuff like that. It's trying to get inside the mind of what a hacker would be looking for and what they're trying to do, and do that as somebody who is helping the company. Again, as I say right here, to beat a hacker, you need to behave like a hacker, finding vulnerabilities and recommending patches before a cybercriminal does, as you'll do in this room, which is, I guess, what we're going to be getting to do as this task number 2 for this hacking your first machine. And again, finding vulnerabilities and recommending patches is definitely going to be a big part of anything offensive security related. There are some other things such as, testing like web applications, or testing actual applications for more like secure practices and stuff like that, that kind of fall into the offensive security side of things. But again, majority of the time, for offensive security, it's going to be kind of like a pen tester or an ethical hacker. And what you're going to be doing is, again, looking at systems, trying to find what vulnerabilities they have and see if you can actually exploit them. And if you are able to exploit them, then going to that person, going to that company that you're doing this pen testing for, and saying, hey, I was able to exploit this vulnerability on this machine, and so what you want to do is, roll out these patches or implement this fix for, this device. Maybe it's like a setting change that they had that needs to be, enabled or disabled, stuff like that. And then on the flip side, there's also defensive security, which is the process of protecting an organization's network and computer systems by analyzing and securing any potential digital threats. And again, it says learn more in the digital forensics room, which should be a room that we eventually do get onto. I don't think it's in this intro to cybersecurity course. But again, whenever they reference stuff, they like to, plug their own rooms, which makes sense, in case you are interested in learning more about that specific topic. And then in a defensive cyber role, you could be investigating infected computers or devices to understand how it was hacked, tracking down cyber criminals, or monitoring infrastructure for malicious activity. And most of those kind of the investigating infected computers or devices is going to be that kind of digital forensics, and a little bit of like a security analyst, like a SOC analyst, depending on how the SOC operates, where you'll be looking through like SIEM events. We did review SIM, as other people call it. I think is the more common pronunciation, but a SIM being that security information and event management software, where it's going to have, it's deployed on a network, and it kind of monitors the network and records everything that is happening on it. So if something does happen, such as in this scenario where are investigating affected computer device, kind of look back and see how did it get on the network, how did it propagate, things like that. Again, being this is more of the blue teaming side, as I said, in the defensive cyber role. Tracking down cyber criminals, being that kind of threat hunting intelligence kind of role, and monitoring infrastructure for malicious activity is going to be that, more traditionally, be that security analyst or that SOC analyst role. So now, when we get down to the question here, this is going to be the first question, and pretty much how this works is they give you a spot to answer, and then they'll ask like a basic question, or it'll be something like, find the flag from this machine, which we might get to in one of the later deployable machines. I don't think we'll have one in this one, but we'll see once we get there, because I do not remember. But with the question here, it's which of the following options better represents the process where you simulate a hacker's actions to find vulnerabilities in a system? And then they give us two options here for this one. So it's between offensive security and defensive security. And with this, trying to simulate a hacker is going to be something that we put into the offensive security category, because with that being offensive would be, attacking, and which is kind of what a hacker does, is they're trying to attack, a specific device or infect a computer or a network. So they're on the offensive, whereas blue team's the defensive side because they're defending against the hackers and other malicious actors out there. So we're going to go ahead and put offensive security in there. Click submit, and here we go. Gave us the pop-up saying, hey, this is the correct answer. And with that, we have completed the first task. Okay, with the first task completed, task number 1, we're going to go ahead and move on to task number 2, which is going to be hacking your first machine. Again, we get a nice little deployable machine in this one. So before going into cybersecurity careers and what offensive security is, let's get you hacking. And yes, it's illegal. All exercises are fake simulations. So it is a good thing to note that with this, for these, all the stuff in TryHackMe, they have their own hosted stuff, whether it's, something on their network or just kind of like a browser, interactive little machine that they kind of let you get to actually experience and be very familiar with, kind of familiarize yourself with the tools or whatever they're doing with the concepts in a way that is not illegal, because actually trying to attack someone's network or someone's application online, someone's web application, that's not something you can do. There are kind of ways that allow you to do it, such as like bug bounty programs, being that kind of ethical hacker and offensive security stuff, where you sign up and there's companies actively looking for people to test their websites or their IP addresses, and then you can sign up for that and participate in that program. And that'll kind of let you go about doing the same stuff legally, as that's kind of how they go about testing their own stuff, rather than having a dedicated testing team, or maybe they do have a dedicated testing team and they just want additional input or additional testing done. With that, what they'll do is if you do find a bounty, then they'll give you kind of a reward. They'll give you a little payment for finding some kind of vulnerability, as they call it, and that's where the bounty comes in, is they pay out a bounty because you found something wrong with their whatever they wanted tested. But in this case, we get to go ahead and click Start Machine right here on the top right, and what it'll do is it'll pop open a little window on the side here in a second. There we go. So this is what they call the attack box. Now, I believe you do need to have the premium subscription for using the attack box. There might be kind of I think with the free, I remember using it a long time ago. It's probably been 3 or 4 years at this point. But with the free stuff, you do get the attack box for a limited time, I believe. So feel free to try and come on and test this out for yourself. But this isn't the only option using the in-browser attack box. You can also use OpenVPN to connect to their network. So once you have that set up, you can connect to their network, and what it'll do is it lets you pretty much do the same thing, but you don't have to be using this little in-browser split screen mode. You basically just, again, use a VPN to connect to their network and interact with it like the machines that they are booting up here that are just on their network, because you're now on their network thanks to the VPN. And if you're not familiar with VPNs, don't worry, we will be getting into that. Once we get to a certain point in this room, I believe there are some, not in this early learning path, but later on we definitely will get to talk about VPNs. So with this, we can see, just reading on the left-hand side here before we get over to all the stuff that just popped up on the right. Your first hack, click the Start Machine button. Once loaded in split view in your browser, you'll have access to a machine you'll use to hack a fake bank application called Fake Bank. If you don't see the machine appear, use the blue show split view button on the top right of this page, which I think normally pops up like up here at the top. Because I think I can actually test here. We can exit split view, and then you can see right here it says show split view. So if you do exit out of it, it's going to be kind of up top there. So with this, we're going to use a command line application called GoBuster to brute force Fake Bank's website to find hidden directories and pages. GoBuster will take a list of potential page or directory names, and it tries to access the website, which each of these directories. And then if this directory does exist, GoBuster will tell us that page does exist. So kind of to describe what those directories are, basically looking at the URL of this page, this is fakebank.com. This is where you'd log, if you had any of your actual banks, you'd log on to, their website by typing it in. When it's talking about directories, what it's talking about is kind of this extension stuff on the end. So if I type, /home, and say there was like the home page of the bank, I don't know if I click it, if it'll actually, I think it just takes me back to this page. But say there's a home page to the bank, if I can type home in, typically to get to that page you need some kind of identifier to actually let you, get to the home page. So in this case it might be something like this, like home. I think let's see if there's a login. I don't think there's a login page. But basically when it's referring to a directory, it's talking about this. So anything that comes after, the actual URL and kind of the domain and the ending portion, right, .com, .net, .org, any of those. This part after, kind of identifying what page you're trying to get to, is what's called a directory. And so again, this tool that we're going to be using, this GoBuster, or Dirtbuster if you are familiar with the tools. Dirtbuster is like the GUI version, that graphical user interface version. It's kind of more pretty and easier to interact with. You don't have to type everything out. It's definitely the version I'm more familiar with, but it is, again, the same tool, whereas GoBuster is just the command line version of it. So you get to type everything out. So step one, open a terminal. A terminal, also known as the command line, allows us to interact with the computer without using a graphical user interface. On the machine, open the terminal using the terminal icon. So see right over here on the right hand side, we got the little terminal icon. We'll go ahead and click that. I don't think these machines have Dirtbuster. One of these videos I'll show off Dirtbuster so you can see the difference between Dirtbuster and GoBuster. So step two, what we're going to do next, after we've opened the terminal now, go ahead and clear that off. Okay, step number two, what we're going to do is find hidden website pages. So most companies will have an admin portal page giving their staff access to basic admin controls for day-to-day operations. For a bank, an employee might need to transfer money to and from a client accounts. Often these pages are not made private, allowing attackers to find hidden pages that show or give access to admin controls or sensitive data. This is very common if you do go into the thing with offensive security in any way and you are doing, pen testing, ethical hacking, being, bug bounties. This is very, very common for testing web applications or anything that's kind of hosted on the web. A lot of the times this is what we like to call low-hanging fruit, where it's something that's very easy to find and maybe a very quick way to compromise the web application because something is listed, whether it is an admin like login page that you can try and brute force, or just some sensitive information about the application. That can help you kind of further your attempts on breaking into that application or trying to exploit that application. So with this, we're going to type the following command into the terminal. to find the potentially hidden pages on Fake Bank's website using GoBuster. So to do that, we're going to type GoBuster first. Again, just kind of copying from the command down here. So GoBuster saying the tool, specifying the tool that we want to use. -u is going to be the URL that we want it to test against. So in this case, it's going to be fakebank.com, http://fakebank.com. Then -w, which is going to be us specifying the word list that we want to use to actually test for these directories, saying, hey, this is the file we want you to look and test if these directories exist. So we're going to type in word list.txt, as that's the one it seems that they're having us use. And what we're going to do after that final part is going to say dir to have it test for directories. So now that the command's all typed in, everything looks good. We're going to hit enter, and what it should do is it should run. And so you can see, it found this /images page, /bank transfer. And there we go. It finished everything in the word list. I think it said it was about 8,000. So as you can see, it's rather quick. And it's kind of like that for a reason in more extensive testing. And, this kind of in a non-controlled environment, unlike this where it is a controlled environment. What'll happen is, you may go through a word list of like 400,000 or like 800,000 different directories that are being tested. And then maybe you want to do recursive testing as well, where once it finds a directory, to go through everything in that directory and try all the words in the word list again to see, if maybe the directory keeps going. Again, it all kind of depends on the testing. It's going to be different for everything that you do end up testing. If you do go into offensive security, there's a lot of variables. But with this, it was able to find 2 different directories. These 2 different directories are /images and /bank transfer. So we got 2 different status codes, and these are very important when you're kind of looking at. This is what kind of helps us determine what actually, is the page actually there? Is it something accessible? And that's, again, what these status codes are kind of for. So with this, status code 200 indicates OK. That's all it stands for. It's an OK response. And basically what that means is that the page does exist, or at least something responds from that page. There are instances where, page 200 is just like a blank page. It does kind of depend on how, web application's set up, or how the response codes are supposed to be sent back by people. But in this case, bank transfer status 200, in this case it'll indicate that that page does exist. And then the other one, the /images, which is less important for us, status 301 stands for moved permanently, basically meaning that it was used to exist, now it's permanently at another directory. So anything that, a lot of the times this is because if there's some kind of external source that links to an image, or maybe something within like the web page, like the CSS, like HTML, JavaScript is trying to pull stuff from this, this URL is trying to pull an image from there. Rather than having to change all that base code for the web page, putting a moved permanently code will let the whatever's trying to reach out to this resource kind of know where to go to get it, or just that it can't get it anymore. So in this case, for an image, if it's trying to pull kind of the base, I think the logo for Fake Bank, this little image here, and it used to be stored at this place, and now it knows, hey, this isn't here anymore, so I can't pull and grab that image anymore. And down here, down below the image of what the tester should look like, and ours pretty much looks the exact same, besides the directory name output, because obviously we have to run it to be able to see that, and that's what they're trying to do here. It says, in the command above, -u is used to state the website we're scanning, again standing for that URL, and -w takes a list of words to iterate through to find hidden pages, again -w being that word list identifier or flag. So you will see that GoBuster scans the website with each word in the list, finding pages that exist on the site. GoBuster will have told you the pages it found in the list of page or directory names, indicated by status 200. So again, we found this page, this /bank transfer. So step 3 is to hack the bank. So what we're going to do Says you should have found a secret bank transfer page that allows you to transfer money between accounts at the bank. So /bank-transfer. Type the hidden page in the fake bank website on the machine. So what it's saying is here, we found a directory, and as I explained a little bit ago, what the directory is again kind of like a navigation to that page. So if we type in the one that we found, that bank-transfer, at the end of the web page here, to go to that directory, and then we click enter to load it, what it'll do is it'll take us to that page. So it takes us to this, staff account, transfer money between accounts page. So on the left again here, this page allows an attacker to steal money from any bank account, which is a critical risk for the bank. As an ethical hacker, you would, with permission of course, find vulnerabilities in an application and report back to the bank to fix before a hacker exploits them. So transfer $2,000 from bank account 2276 to your account number 8881. So we're going to send from this 2276 account to 8881, and they said to do $2,000. So we'll type in $2,000, and then we're going to click send money. And we can see here, success transfer completed. You've successfully completed the transfer. Here are the details. So then if we return to our account, look at that. We got $2,000 from fake bank staff. So now we're not in the red anymore like we were. We're in the green. So we can see here, if your transfer was successful, you should now be able to see your new balance reflected on your account page. Go there and confirm you got the money, which we did. We're no longer in the red. Again, we may need to hit refresh or changes appear, but we're all good. Above your account balance, you'll now see a message indicating the answer to this question. Can you find the answer you need? So then what that answer is going to be this right here. So you can see, congratulations, you hacked the bank. The answer to the TryHackMe question is bank-hacked. So what we're going to do is go ahead and copy that over to here, and then click submit. And there we go. So we got the correct answer for that one. So next part is sometimes these aren't actual questions, just kind of like more informational stuff that they want you to click to say, hey, I read this. If you're a penetration tester or security consultant, this is an exercise you'd perform for companies to test for vulnerabilities in their web applications, find hidden pages to investigate for vulnerabilities. As I mentioned before, this is absolutely true. Again, kind of being that low-hanging fruit stuff. And it doesn't have to be this, as I said, low-hanging fruit where it's kind of just easily exploitable stuff. A lot of the time, many applications are pretty secure and they've gone through, bounds of testing before they're actually released to be used by people. So you may not find any directories or hidden pages in a web application. And even if you do find them, they might be, they might not be something you can actually access. I do quite a bit of pen testing where I work now, and a lot of the stuff that we kind of run into is, hey, maybe we do find a page, but you need to be logged in to be able to access these pages in the first place, which is, again, better security practice than just leaving the admin page open. The bank transfer page is in this scenario that is used. Or it's something like, you need like a specific, cookie identifier, or maybe the directory that you're trying to access is only accessible via specific whitelisted addresses. There are a lot of security measures that can be implemented to prevent this kind of stuff. But again, if you do go into that ethical hacking, penetration testing, offensive security side of things, this is absolutely something you want to do during your testing. Because it is something that is easy to find if there is something here, and that's most likely what an attacker is going to be looking for. A good way to think of it from the attacker side of things is they're not going to waste their time if they don't think it's worth actually, exploiting a target. So they're not going to spend, hundreds of thousands of hours on a target that doesn't really have a whole lot of value. So they're going to do quick and easy stuff like this, where they get to do a little scan with GoBuster or DirBuster. And pretty much, would it take us 45 seconds to a minute at most to find this, page labeled bank transfer and access it and then transfer money to our own account. Again, this is kind of a simplified version of something that may happen in the wild or out in, an actual enterprise. Because, again, just trying to teach basic concepts with this. But again, it's there is the possibility that something this easy does come up, and that's why you don't want to skip over any of the basic stuff when you are doing these tests. Final question, for this one, terminate the machine by clicking the red terminate button at the top of the page. So once you're done with the machine, go up to the top, click terminate, it'll close your split view, and it'll shut down that machine. And I'll go ahead and complete that one. So with that, we have task number 2 completed. And what we're going to do next is talk about the careers in cybersecurity, task number 3. Okay, task number 3. So task number 3 is going to be careers in cybersecurity. And again, I'm assuming this is going to be more focused on the red teaming side of things, since we are in the offensive security intro module. How can I start learning? People often wonder how others become hackers, security consultants, or defenders, being then security analysts fighting cybercrime. The answer is simple. Apparently the answer is simple. Break it down, learn an area of cybersecurity you're interested in, and regularly practice using hands-on exercises, which is obviously a very good thing to do. Constantly practicing means you're constantly learning new things and being able to kind of reinforce the stuff that you do already know. Build a habit of learning a little bit each day on TryHackMe, and you'll acquire the knowledge to get your first job in the industry, which is something I highly recommend. TryHackMe has been an amazing resource for me when I was going through and trying to learn what I actually wanted to do with cybersecurity, and deciding ultimately if it was the field I actually wanted to go into. Again, I've spent quite a lot of time on TryHackMe doing different rooms and different learning paths, and it was definitely worth the time. Say trust us here, you can do it. Just take a look at some people who have used TryHackMe to get their first security job. So they have some stories here for different people where, this Paul went from a construction worker to a security engineer, or Cassandra went from a music teacher to a security professional, or Brandon used TryHackMe while at school to get his first job in cyber. All of these can kind of apply to you or anyone else who is trying to, either transition into a career in cybersecurity from whatever job you're doing. It doesn't matter where you start. It is possible to kind of join this field. It's not something that's exclusive. Or it's not something you need to spend, you don't necessarily need a degree from college to get into this field. There are a lot of alternatives to that, such as like different certifications from specific bodies, such as CompTIA. CompTIA is a very good one. But again, learning this stuff can be as easy as going on this website, TryHackMe, and doing different rooms and learning about different topics. And it may ultimately be enough to, you get into an interview and you can talk about the stuff you've done on TryHackMe, and that might ultimately be enough to get you that intro-level job to cybersecurity. So with this, what careers are there? The cyber careers room goes into more depth about the different careers in cyber. However, here's a short description of a few offensive security roles. So you have the big one, the penetration tester, which is responsible for testing technology products and for finding exploitable security vulnerabilities. We have the red teamer, which plays the role of an adversary, attacking an organization and providing feedback from an enemy's perspective. Red teamer and penetration tester are kind of used synonymously, at least in my experience. If you have a different experience, please let me know. But I feel like pretty much when people talk about penetration tester or red teamer, they just kind of have the term that they prefer, and they'll kind of refer to them both as the same thing, even though there's technically a difference between the two. It's very similar. And then we have security engineers, the last one they list here, where it's design, monitor, and maintain security controls, networks, and systems to help prevent cyber attacks. Now, the security engineer is something I would say is probably more of a blue teaming role. It's not really a red team role because you're not really attacking. And security engineer is typically kind of, as it says here, designing the network and maintaining the network, at least in terms of security. So with that, if you are, again, security engineer, not like a network engineer or something like that. But with that, again, security engineer is going to be more of that defensive side of things rather than the offensive side of things. And with that, we can go ahead and click complete. And there we go. Congratulations, we've completed the room. So with that, we'll kind of bring the video to a close here. It was a little long, but not too, at least compared to the first video. But I guess we were just kind of going through, what the series is going to look like. But with this, next time we'll be talking about the intro to defensive security. So it'll be kind of the same idea as this room, but just talking about the defensive side of things and then blue teaming side of things. If there are any questions on anything that we talked about in this video, feel free to leave a comment. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching.